All right, good evening, everybody. Let's see, we can wait a little while. It looks like there are a couple people that have joined. A couple people coming.
Or if your map says City of New York, you're confusing me.
I only love to shop, I assure you.
All right, the audience the live audience is a little bit slow for now, but that's okay, we can get rolling. Well, I'm sure have more people rolling as time goes on. So why don't I start introducing everybody, and then you guys can take it away. We're all oriented probably differently in everybody's computer, but on mine, we have first Leslie Laurie, who's the Director of Patient Services at NETA. And down to my bottom left, we have John Murphy, who's the Delivery Manager. And up high next to me is Michaela Bell, who's the Community Outreach Lead at NETA. Thank you all for joining. Why don't you guys take it away?
All right. Well, I am happy to start and just say good evening to everyone. And I am an OG with NETA, and I am also the Western Mass Regional Director. So I'm based in the western part of the state, and am delighted to have worked with our dispensary there in Northampton. And we're very proud of the fact that we just celebrated our 5th anniversary for medical patients.
Awesome. I'm John Murphy. I'm the Delivery Operations Manager now for the whole state, formerly the General Manager of Northampton, hired personally by Leslie Laurie, of course. Really excited to talk delivery and get the word out.
Hi, everyone. As introduced, I'm Michaela Bell, and really what I focus on is education and philanthropy. So these types of events used to be in person, and they were my absolute favorite, you know, connecting with our patient base and connecting with adult use customers, prospective patients, and really making sure that they feel comfortable and confident with cannabis because it is new for a lot of people. And also managing our NETA Cares arm. So we do a lot in the communities in which we're based. And this is through donations, volunteerism, and drives held in store, which actually we'll cover a little deeper in the conversation with some patient discounts and how patients can also benefit by giving back to the community.
Excellent. John, you've mentioned delivery. Can you tell us a little bit about what the delivery situation is for NETA?
Absolutely. And, you know, one thing I think that may be beneficial for everyone is I'm happy to just kind of walk through the process top to bottom.
Great, yeah, please.
Love it. So I'm going to capture your screen. Oh, it is. Looks like that feature is not available, but that's a-okay.
I think I might be able to imbue you with the power to do that. Let's try that.
Perfect. All right. So first things first, everything is, of course, on netacare.org. That is our homepage. Both in the dispensary and through delivery right now, we're completely based on a reserve ahead model. So being in a COVID-19 area, we really want to make sure that, you know, we're throttling how many people are actually coming in and out of the dispensary at the same time. We want to maintain social distance and just make everyone safe, both patients and our staff alike. The delivery model is built right into that NETACare website, netacare.org/delivery. We'll bring you to this landing page right here. And we are delivering in both Greater Boston and Western Mass. Don't be fooled that this does just say Northampton. Get our faces out of the way. So the greater Boston area right now, we are going from most of Brockton, not the southernmost portions, all the way up to North Reading. And actually this month we were able to expand to Salem, which is
Just in time for Halloween, right?
exactly. In our western part of the state, you'll see this map down here. We go all the way from just about the Connecticut line in both Agawam and Springfield, all the way up to Shelburne Falls and Greenfield. So how you see if you're actually in the delivery area is on this main page right here. You just go ahead and type your address in. I'm going to use the Brookline location for this one. And voila, you are in. So the one thing, if you're not in the delivery area right now, we are absolutely still asking people to enter their addresses. We are collecting data day in and day out. We absolutely are trying to expand the area as far as we physically can go. So if you're not in the area, you will get a message that says, unfortunately, we can't deliver now, but we are using this data later.
And isn't it, Murph, the idea that we're going to cover the whole state, so it's just a matter of time?
In time, absolutely. So the one thing to note right now is we do have an order minimum of $200. You'll see all of our standard menu items depending on which location you're in. If you're ordering for Brookline, this reverts to Brookline. If you're ordering through Northampton, you'll be ordering off the Northampton menu. But that $200 limit does still apply. I believe I pre-built a cart for us here. Yep. Trusty Milkbone. And you'll see we have a couple of different options here. Right now, we are only delivering on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. In the eastern part of the state, we do have a couple order windows. We don't want you to have to be kind of waiting around all day. So that's 8 a.m. to 11, 11 to 2, or 4 to 7:30, 4 to 8 on Saturday. On those delivery days, you actually do have the option now for same day ordering. So that's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. You can order same day for the PM window with a $20 fee if you're over that $200 minimum, and any order over $400, there is no fee. One thing to note during COVID-19 is we're really kind of preaching this model for our patients. There is no standard delivery fee during COVID-19 that's waived, but there is only a same day fee of $20. So that's kind of the long and short of it. Let's just say, let's test. You submit your order. Whoops. And you, of course, select everything you need to. And you'll get your message, thank you for your order. Now, of course, the question is, what happens after you order? And I am amazingly proud of the technology that we use right now. We're very communicative. You get a text when we're within about a 2-hour window from you. You get another text when you're the next stop, and the driver calls you about 5 minutes ahead of time. So you're prepared with your cards and your payment method. Obviously, the big thing right now is we are trying to keep this as contactless as possible. Debit payment is preferred right now, but we absolutely will take cash as long as it's exact change currently. Our drivers aren't carrying change. I'm sure there's more to it than that. I've talked for quite a bit.
I would just add one really important thing, that just that it isn't as if NETA is plastered all over the delivery truck. It's really quite privacy attentive. So it's, it's even, less intrusive than like a prime truck. It doesn't have anything on it too. So people come and go really quickly. And it really is a wonderful, wonderful option for people who, really either because of health or distance, just really can't get out, or this is just an easy way to do it. And the fact that it isn't really money that's being added to what the cost would usually be. So you're just really saving a trip.
Absolutely. And
Couple questions. A couple
please, yeah.
questions. Just I know patients have asked me. Um, is credit card an option through the ordering system?
So right now, credit card options are not available.
Okay.
And that has a lot more to do with state regulations than our actual capabilities. Debit payments are really the easiest way to go right now.
Okay.
We are moving towards a prepayment model within the next 3 weeks or so, where you'll actually be able to pay online ahead of time and really make the process much more contactless. We're
Great.
excited for those announcements in November.
Great. And I know everybody's excited about NETA's new patient offerings. How do those interact, or do they, with the delivery system?
So that's a great question. Absolutely. What Dr. Caplan's referring to is all new patients, if you come to either our Northampton or our Brookline dispensary, we offer a $200 voucher in the form of 4 $50 credits. Or if you spend $100 worth of product in store, we give you $50 off for that day. This absolutely does expand to the delivery model as well. You do still have to be over those order minimums currently, which means after your vouchers, you would still have to be at that $200. So $300 worth of product, you can redeem 2 vouchers for your $200 total.
Super.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And that voucher program is also for renewing patients as well. So something that they can look forward
Exactly.
Huge. I mean, it's to most doctor's offices, I mean, it basically allows patients to have their whole visits paid for. So the process really is quite smooth.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Great.
And we really like it too, because what it does is it really affords someone the ability to try things that they might not otherwise, if in a sense it was coming out of their own pocketbook.
Mhm. Makes sense. So it looks like there's a question already, and maybe this is nuanced, but is Wobbin within the catchment area for delivery?
Absolutely. And I see this question as well. That was absolutely an error. That is not in the wrong part of the state and is 100% within our delivery area. If you'd like to contact at netacare.org, we would love to kind of rectify what happened there.
Okay, awesome. And if for whatever reason people are less comfortable with the system or want help with it, how do they reach some customer service person to help them?
Totally. So we have an awesome call center right now, and we have 2 kind of main points of contacting in. That's through our kind of regular catch-all mailbox at contact@netacare.org. Or you can also call either the Brookline or Northampton dispensaries lines on Google. The one I have memorized is, of course, Northampton, 413-727-8415. And you can get anyone 7 days a week. I believe it's 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. right now for the call center. But those calls route directly to the dispensary on either side of that. So we're really here to help.
The program is a 7-day-a-week program, you know, both in Brookline and in Northampton. We're open 7 days a week. So there's always someone who's able to answer your questions. In Northampton, we're open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week, and pretty close in Brookline too. So, you know, we're able to deal with people who are working or have different family issues, whether it's early in the morning, late at night. And that's what's also so great about the delivery now too, because someone can actually pick a good time for them to get what they really need.
I also want to add in a quick plug just because I help to manage the team, but the contact email has 3 real people that actually email you back. So you will not get a robotic generated answer. You will get someone with a heart and soul that genuinely cares. And that I think also helps for people, you know, they might be a little concerned that the walk-in service is closed because, well, they just saw the doctor and they got some recommendations, but then how do they decide what they'd want? So they can absolutely reach out to us via email or by phone, and we can give a consultation over the phone. Again, these are veteran trained, like staff that's been with us for years and years, and they're really happy to help. So if you have questions, if you feel comfortable calling us over the phone, or if you feel comfortable emailing us, that's how you can reach out to us ahead of time and help guide you through the process of what products might be best for you.
We have some patients who are sometimes concerned about privacy. And you know, the idea of ordering something on a computer makes us worried that all of Boston or all of America is going to find out about my information. Can you talk a little bit about the privacy at NETA?
Definitely. So, you know, we really kind of preach the mantra that we serve all walks of life. You know, medical cannabis, it doesn't discriminate against any of its users. So really, we understand that people are concerned. And moreover than that, you know, this is a very stigmatized new industry with some thoughts that may be outdated in 2020. So we are very receptive and responsive to that. If you are to contact our call center, we absolutely do facilitate what we call a paper order over the phone. And that's where you can call in, get the help you need, and make sure it's available at the dispensary when you arrive. Moreover than that, regardless of comfortability, I mean, especially in the western part of the state, believe it or not, we still have towns without high-speed internet. We want to make sure that we can serve those patients as well. So either call center line, the contact email, as long as you're a registered patient in the state, or even for our adult use users, we'll absolutely make sure that that's taken care of.
And while we're not, I mean, we consider ourselves a really important medical facility. And while we're not required to abide by HIPAA, very much we really do. And so in terms of patient privacy, it's only people who need to know about a patient are the ones who do. And what we actually see is many individuals actually come to us who could be medical patients, but they come to us as adult use patients because they are concerned about signing up with the Cannabis Commission, or even though we haven't had instances where, you know, their system has been hacked, you know, some are really concerned. And with that, there is the ability to come as an adult use patient. And with those individuals, we don't keep any information about them.
And then additionally too, from the website, I know that I work with a dedicated security team to make sure that our website is secure, is very not prone essentially to hackers or anything like that. We only have a limited amount of people that actually can access our email. So we've restricted a lot of accounts just to make sure that we only have the essential people looking at this information as well.
Great. I'm not aware of any, like you said, Leslie, I'm not aware of any hacks. I'm not aware of any instances where anybody's information has ever gotten out. Is that your impression as well?
Yeah, and even especially when it was under the Department of Public Health too, I mean, the system was very similar to the way that the really very confidential and sensitive information about HIV and AIDS was kept. And then that was transferred to the Cannabis Commission. So again, we feel, you know, really, really good about being able to say to someone, you know, if that's the reason that you don't want to become a medical patient, find a different reason.
That's good. Okay. You know, not everybody is as familiar with the process of creating cannabis products and how they end up on the shelves that, you know, these folks now have the opportunity to buy from their home. Can you, I guess, walk a completely brand new patient through the process of cannabis seed all the way to a product they're purchasing?
Yeah, I used to lead some tours internally for our own employees that don't work in the grow. So this will be a real test of my knowledge here. But essentially, yes, we're proud to say that we grow almost a lot of our products by seed. We plant everything ourselves. We do retain some of the mother plants, so we can maintain the same genetics time and time again. And that's especially helpful when we find a phenotype that's particularly effective. It has great yield. It has the effects that we want. It has bag appeal, as some would say. You know, it looks like a pretty plant, you know, especially where sometimes people get nervous with cannabis. We want to make sure it has all those checks in place, and also to make sure that it's growing healthy. So as it goes through the plant process, we have a lot of different teams individualized to make sure that they can give their time and attention to a specific part of the plant throughout its grow process. So we are a fully integrated facility. So from seed to sale, we do all of it. Essentially, after the plant is grown, we either keep it for actual buds or pre-rolls, or it gets then processed into an edible or concentrate or a lotion, a topical, we have several, or a vaporizer. So there's a couple different processes that happen to actually convert those into those products. So whether it gets transformed into wax that then gets infused into some of our edible products, or it gets processed through a distillation process where essentially all cannabinoids are stripped from the product and you're left with just THC or just CBD or a 1-to-1 ratio. After that, they are actually infused into our products. So a big test for our cultivators using our tracking system was pick an edible, such as a nugget or a chocolate bar, and find out what exact plants went into that. So at one point, you could actually trace back all the way to the original plant that was pulled to actually make these products. And then the final stage really is packaging them and sending them to a third-party facility to get tested. And that's something that kind of opened my eyes up a bit. I actually lived out in California for about a year, years ago, and testing wasn't really a thing. They kind of just slapped it on a label on and said, drink half, see how you feel after. Where here, every single batch of every single product that we actually make is tested. And actually, sometimes there's multiple samples pulled from the same batch, especially if it's a larger batch. So that way they know exactly what went into the product, they know exactly the cannabinoid profile, and they can see all the other testing results. You know, it passes for everything else that the state requires us to test for. So that's the real quick and dirty kind of process. Basically,
Brilliant.
Start the grows into a plant. We either keep it for the bud, transform it into something else. It gets packaged, a little love gets put into it. We test it, and then it goes hit the shelves.
And that grow facility is in Franklin, Mass.
Mm-hmm.
So we get all of the products in Northampton and Brookline primarily from Franklin, Mass. So we're used to having people deliver, but it's typically been to the dispensaries, and now Murph is heading up the effort so that people can get it directly. But the grow facility is in Franklin, Mass.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I do see we have a question about the wholesale flower, which I'm happy to address. So, of course, we've worked with some wholesale vendors to make sure that we have quite a variety. We really pride ourselves on having something for everyone. So we have partnered with some dispensaries to ensure that we have the best flower selection that we could possibly have. And all those dispensaries are held by the same exact testing regulations as NETA is. So it goes through the same levels of testing. So you can rest assured knowing that it has gone through quite a lengthy process with the state the state regulations require us to do. If it fails testing, we don't sell it. We can't. It breaks my heart because it's this beautiful product that has to get destroyed, but we just can't sell it. So that's why we work really hard in the actual process to make sure that it doesn't fail testing. And we make sure that we maintain tight protocols at our grow facility to ensure that that's in place.
Awesome. A lot of questions also that I've received are about the staff at the dispensaries, not the grow facilities, and what's the process of teaching them and support that's available for dispensary employees?
Absolutely. So we have a very thorough training process that, you know, most people are getting trained for about 4 weeks before they're kind of off on their own. So that's both, you know, internal product trainings, one-on-one with the trainer. We have plenty of web-based modules where, you know, you sit down, you get educated on the various types of flower, cannabinoids, edibles, the onset process, kind of top to bottom before we let any of our people out to handle patients one-on-one. So, you know, I'm really proud of the training process that we've built in store. And one thing about life is learning never stops. So we are always getting new products. We are partnering with new vendors. And the training really kind of mimics that process where we're always upgrading, always learning about our new processes and keeping our people and our staff as informed as they should be.
Awesome. And if customers are happy with the products that they're seeing and they want more of them, or they want other products that they have in mind that maybe aren't available, what are the options for communicating those interests to NETA?
I would say the same ways that, you know, we kind of expressed any concerns with delivery, or if they have consultations, they can always feel free to email us. Most of the time, we're forwarding those suggestions to our grow facility or our product manufacturing team or innovation team to see maybe it's a good match. Maybe it's already in the pipeline, and then we can also kind of fill them in from there. So we won't leave them hanging. We'll let them know we forwarded it on to the right person. But we've seen requests like that. Like I know the Wana edibles are big, and so people have requested some of those to come our way. So keep suggesting them, because oftentimes if enough people demand them, we'll do it. You know, we'll be able to work with them as best as we can.
And we even do it just an old-fashioned way in our dispensaries. We also even have suggestion notebooks, so people can, you know, write how great our staff is or what are the new products that people want. And just as Michaela is saying, I mean, this is an exercise where people really read this stuff, think about it, and what we want to do is to be responsive to the patients and adult use customers who want to come to NETA, and we want to make sure they keep coming to NETA.
One thing that the Seed Clinic does that I'm not sure a lot of other places do is a training program, actually an internship for students and for graduate students and medical students. We actually have a medical fellow as well. For people that might be interested in growing or being involved in the chemistry, I guess, at the lab, are there any opportunities for people to learn more about those opportunities, or how does someone who's interested get involved in that sort of stuff?
So there's actually a couple of different options, and 2 points that I'd love to talk about involve the social equity space. So oftentimes we're partnering with either social equity applicants or those that are in the economic empowerment sector, as you know, kind of titled by the CCC. And what NETA has done is launched Cultivated. So it's the first in the nation's Jails to Jobs program, in which we've actually will work with individuals that apply to get their records expunged completely pro bono, and they are set up with a department basically of their interest. They'll get a certain week training program. You know, I think it's about 8 to 12 weeks. They'll get paid. They receive childcare costs too. It's all really covered. So that's one kind of area that we've been partnering with, or we will be matched with an applicant hopefully soon, which will be great. And then we also, back when C3RN was the social equity partner for the CCC, we worked with them. We actually had 2 trainees come by, and they shadowed us for the entire day. So we basically showed them the inner workings of the dispensary. So if this was the path that they chose to take, this is basically the largest scale option that they would have access to. So seeing kind of how one of the largest operators actually operates, and then, you know, can scale it back a little bit. But they really got the hands-on training from NETA and the CCC, or C3RN at the time, to either further their knowledge or to decide if this is something that, you know, they'd actually like to do.
But at this point, it's not as if for the, you know, R&D that we have, that we're actually having, you know, like students who are chemists, you know, do an internship with us yet. But we're really lucky actually to be connected to an organization called Parallel. And what they've done is just invested in an enormous research project with the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, where they're going to be looking at sickle cell anemia and cannabis. So we'll look forward to, you know, those breakthroughs, and hopefully before long, some of the constraints that we have to be able to have students work with us be able to occur, you know, both with issues of age and, you know, there are some extreme constraints currently in Massachusetts for us to be able to do some of that work. But to underscore just the program that Michaela just spoke to, the jail to jobs, again, I think NETA has been on the forefront of really seeing cannabis as a piece of what we need to work on is social equity, and it's been front and center for us. And we've done that with the communities in which we reside, and whether that is, you know, raising, you know, lots and lots of food for the food banks in, you know, Boston, Western Mass, but also working to try to alter the stigma around cannabis because we know how beneficial it is. And I would just say I have Crohn's disease, and I have to say that, you know, there are really, you know, very, and you're the doctor, you know, really fancy, you know, traditional medicine that works with Crohn's. But I've found that cannabis is just really remarkable. And, you know, there are many, many other conditions like that. And what we want to do is to both make sure, irregardless of what your zip code is or what your pocketbook looks like, that what you're going to be able to do is to benefit from cannabis.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that we often teach patients is the sort of cutting edge of where cannabis is going and where it can be, even today. You know, a lot of retail organizations are have a view which is mostly limited to THC and CBD and ratios accordingly. I think the very near future is going to broaden the education and hopefully the production of even other major cannabinoids, some minor cannabinoids, and then an exploration of terpenes that are also relevant to medical illnesses, including Crohn's. To that end, one of the things that all of our patients with Crohn's or ulcerative colitis or IBD are taught is about CBGA and CBG. And it's one of the components which, for folks like you who have found cannabis to be helpful, you know, it's really the CBG content that seems to be the most helpful. Is there an opportunity at NETA for people to learn more information about a strain that they really like? And what does that process look like?
Absolutely. So right now on our website, on the netacare.org website, all of the testing results are listed. Typically, people are looking for, I mean, at least in our experience, a lot of times they want to know THC, CBD, give me that. So we list those at the forefront, but they can always reach out. We have some patients that'll reach out to us regularly because they have sensitivities to certain cannabinoids, or they are looking for those minor cannabinoids. So they can always reach out to us via email or call us just ahead of time. Hey, I was just curious. I saw Sweet Tooth was on the menu, and I just wanted to know that breakdown. One product in particular that I think is something worth talking about too, it's actually a medical patient exclusive product at NETA. We don't offer it to our adult use customers, but that's our THCA tincture. So again, it's kind of the lesser known, but hopefully it gains some popularity after time. It's a product I don't leave the house with, but you know, it's the acidic form of THC. So it hasn't undergone that chemical reaction. The science lesson, here we go, kids. It hasn't actually combusted and turned into that delta-9 THC. So it's been really great for our patients that have nausea or anxiety, but do require THC over CBD. And that product actually oftentimes has higher concentrations of CBG. So that's why I also wanted to bring it up, because a lot of our nausea patients, you know, again, you just shake the bottle, you take a few drops underneath your tongue, and typically it'll onset within 20, 30 minutes. So a little bit faster than an edible. And again, you're not inhaling anything. But it is worth noting just because it does have that higher content. And oftentimes patients that are looking for nausea relief or anxiety relief, but don't want just, you know, CBD products, then they have this option as well.
It's a really powerful option also for people with pain and arthritis specifically. Mm-hmm. THCA is a popular choice.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of popular choices, what are the most popular products, I guess, that you think people buy at NETA? I mean, in whatever categories you think.
Actually, I checked that out right
I'll speak
before we
over
were
each
going to
other.
talk.
It was not planned, just so people ask.
Take it away,
Say
Leslie.
it all together. Flower. Actually, the what was interesting is to kind of look at, is there a difference between Western Mass, Eastern Mass? What does Massachusetts look like? And pretty much it's really similar across the whole of the Commonwealth. And it really is that most of our patients, but it's only in the range actually of around 39% are really interested in flower. And then edibles are actually the next most desired. And then after that, actually vape pens. And we have many, many other products. And I think that was, in addition to the difference of, the different cannabinoids and different modalities, that is what we're really also trying to do for patients and also adult use. I mean, people's lives are different. For some people, the last thing they want to do, even though many people do want to smoke, for many others, they'd much rather just have a tincture. And we do now even have a product which is really cool. It's called Float, and it's something that you actually can put into a drink. So it is a way also for people to be able to microdose. And again, people who live in different circumstances may not be able to smoke in terms of issues of odor. And there are products, obviously, which we're able to offer, which depending on the issues that people bring to a product, they can decide what makes the most sense. But yeah, flower continues to be the most. But again, it's just not one flower. Michaela and Murph taught, it's like so many. And what's kind of good too is on our menu, which is put on the website each night, there is like a little description to help people have a greater understanding of what the effects of that specific strain or product is.
I also want to give a shout out to Cubes, because that's also a patient exclusive product. So patients love this. They get about 100 in a bottle, so they get 500 milligrams total, and they're these little tiny cubes. They're almost like little gummies, and they're 5 milligrams a piece, and they're really easy to cut up. So even someone with a real sensitivity or somebody that's brand new, and even 5 milligrams might be scary, they can cut it up almost into fourths. I mean, you can get really, really small dose. And those also come in a handful of varieties, so they can choose what type of cube they want based on what kind of effect they're trying to have. We have them sativa, hybrid, indica, CBD, and 1-to-1. So it's another great product for folks to have, just like Leslie was saying, if they need something that's discreet, maybe they have they live in an apartment where they're not able to actually smoke or have any sort of remnant smell from cannabis, they can pop them in their bag and be on their way, and you would think that it's anything else. But just to reassure, the bottle is also child-proof. So even though it is discreet, please, safety, safety, safety. That's always at the forefront of everything that NETA preaches. Please keep them away from children, pets. Pets will get into it, believe it or not. So keeping them in a locked space, and typically for cubes, somewhere that's cool as well, because they are kind of jelly, so they might melt in more extreme temperatures. Don't leave it in your car in the summer. Although in New England, it's getting a little cool out, so maybe it might hard to it.
To that end, if a customer is trying a product and it doesn't suit them, or they buy a vape pen and they're not sure how it works, or they're not sure if it's working correctly, what options do they have to come back to NETA?
So, kind of just based off of that last question, I mean, we have an enormous menu. On any given day, we can have between 120 to 160 different various items. And, the medical cannabis community is growing each and every day. And with that growth comes people trying brand new things. In pharmaceuticals, it can take years for a patient to key in their dose, depending on a ton of different factors. So those factors do still apply. trial and error is huge in this. Our body chemistry varies the different effects between the different medications. So we expect a failure rate there. We're kind of proud to say whether a product is defective or ineffective, you can return that product. Now, you know, we are kind of upheld to some different sort of rules and regulations. So we don't necessarily operate with a cash back mentality, but if this medication doesn't work for you, we want to work with you to find a medication that will. You know, one patient that comes to mind, I think we went through about 14 different applications before they were able to find the one type of edible that didn't cause an irritant for them. And, you know, that took months, and, you know, certainly for the person in question was a little frustrating, but we want that type of one-on-one care and the assurance that we are going to get you where you need to be.
And we do have staff, as we've said, who are really, really well trained and are really empathetic too. And what people want to do is, I mean, they know how life-changing this medication can be. So we want to be certain that people can, in a sense, get what they want so that they can get the relief or joy that they want to.
Awesome. And a sort of a question in between the lines there. How long does a product stay on the shelf? Are these products on there for a really long time? Is it pretty brief?
Actually, every one of our products has an expiration date on it. So depending on what the product is, it will actually say when it was put together and how long it will actually stay. And we do have patient instruction sheets and sheets for adult use too. So people can know just what Michaela was saying. If you have a chocolate bar and it's the middle of August, make sure you put it in a refrigerator.
It looks like someone bouncing off my question. How are the expiration dates determined?
So that's a great question. Our expiration dates are determined by the state typically. And every different product category does have a different sort of expiration date. Something like a vaporizer distilled oil, that's going to have a very long shelf life, where something like a cube or a food-based product is likely to have a much, much shorter shelf life.
Mm-hmm. And while we're on the subject of food, if someone has a allergy to certain medicines or certain ingredients, how do they learn what might be inside that, you know, edible?
Absolutely. So
go ahead, Mark.
So that absolutely is something that comes up, and you know, thankfully people with allergies typically do disclose that information up front. So we really do, we have a full allergen list. We have a full ingredient list that we are more than happy to share with people, because the last thing we want is, you know, someone with a coconut oil seeing MCT oil being like, well, I must be good to go. It doesn't say coconut. It's all coconut. Don't use it.
Sounds good.
Did you want to add on to that, Michaela?
No, yeah, that's pretty much it. Every product will list it on its label as well. And if there's any questions, if they can't find it on the website, we do have product information pages that list out all the ingredients. But if they're having a tough time reaching out, again, contact us at via email or via phone, and we're happy to provide all of that information.
Is there anything that you think happens behind the scenes that customers would want to know about? I mean, I think, you know, one of the things that's frustrating from my view is, you know, I can interact with patients, they can ask me questions, I can answer questions. There's not always as much opportunity for the dispensaries to talk about their business, to talk about their production, to talk about their whole infrastructure, the whole ecosystem, because of the laws in privacy and advertising. Are there things you would want customers to know that you think aren't common knowledge?
I think that some of that comes from the empathy, and a lot of it, you know, I think some of it is more known, some of it's less known, but just how much our employees, how much effort is actually put back into the communities in which we're based in, you know, and a lot of that comes through NETA cares, a lot of that comes through other sectors, but oftentimes it's our own employees that are driving us to participate in certain initiatives because it's things that they're passionate about. So for example, we've been collecting food items both in Western Mass and in Eastern Mass for a couple of the food pantries that are local to us. Recently in Brookline, we took a vote as to what organization we're going to benefit next, because our employees are all out there actively volunteering, and we want to partner with groups that they're passionate about, hit close to home for our patients, and also, align well with NETA's mission. Some unique things that we do in all 3 locations, actually, I'm very proud to say, is we have green teams that go out and clean trash at least once a week in the communities. It's not necessarily our trash, it's not necessarily our customer or patient's trash, but we want to be contributing members to, again, the communities that we're in. And why not start with cleaning trash, especially in a world where we're so focused on climate change and going green and doing the smallest little actions. It really does go a long way, and it just blows my mind every week. And especially, I'm mostly based in Franklin and Brookline. I have to turn people away because we have too many people signing up to clean trash. I didn't know I'd have this many enthusiastic people, but they see the result at the end, these bags of trash that they've really collected, and they feel good about themselves giving back to the community. We really try to benefit the communities, but also internally. So we have employee resource groups that we're incredibly proud of, that our parent company Parallel has helped to shape and develop. And these are just a start. So we have a Black Empowerment Network, which has been really great. And we also have Pride at Parallel that benefits LGBTQ plus employees. And everyone else can join as well. And hopefully on the docket, there might be plans for even more groups. These are just ones that NETA has formed proactively. But, we continue to plan and shape based on, feedback from employees, and especially what's important to our employees, because we want to make sure that they feel included and comfortable and happy. And that's really what a lot of these groups help to do and shape the future plans for NETA too.
And I would say, I don't know if you can see my necklace here, but this says vote. And that is another group also that we've really been working on. So in a nonpartisan way, to make sure that we're both good neighbors, just as Michaela's speaking to, so we're helping to pick up trash or care about the environment, but also wanting to make sure that our employees and staff and folks participate in the electoral process too. So we're really active with that. And I would say one really fun thing is, from the beginning in Northampton, we really have been concerned about the issue of the environment, and our garbage is picked up by a wonderful group called Pedal People. And the way that they pick up our garbage, and it doesn't matter if it's snowing or not, is on bicycles, because they don't want to use fossil fuel. So in fact, that's a group in our community that we've supported. And we also were really, really proud, both in Eastern Mass and just more recently in Western Mass, that we were named the best dispensary in the Valley. So it was voted by the Valley folks. So that's a really wonderful honor. And again, it really is our staff and those that are, in a sense, growing our products that are the ones who should really be proud.
I do have one small one just to add, and it's kind of an unsung initiative, but with kind of various power contracts, we have the ability to kind of choose how our production facility is powered. And very recently, we've moved to make sure that our production facility is entirely powered off of wind. So, a really big issue in the cannabis industry is sustainability and, just being green, ecological in general. So for our facility, I'm incredibly proud that we made that movement. A smaller movement in that notion is we also do have a partnership with Solar Therapeutics. They are another dispensary who we have a wholesale partnership with, where we carry their flower, and it is all sustainably grown with renewable energy. So it's a small initiative, but I think in cannabis, as we grow in Massachusetts, that's certainly the way of the future with renewable energy.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. A question actually people have asked, and I don't know the answer to. Back when the country was sort of wrestling with what is vapor and what's causing this catastrophe, sort of all the medical stuff. I think people didn't know if it was nicotine or cannabis, and then it kind of was both, and it was sort of everything. And it was, I think people are starting to understand that it was mostly a matter of counterfeit products or things that were made on the street and cooked in inappropriate ways or not from a dispensary at all. But I'm curious what happened to all of the vapor products. Are these things that NETA had to get rid of? Are they things which could be reused? Whatever happened to that stuff?
Totally. So we did. I mean, the vape thing was gigantic. That was absolutely terrifying. It shocked the industry beyond the cannabis industry. I mean, the tobacco industry was greatly affected as well. So, we held all products, we quarantined all products. Like I kind of said earlier, when it comes to distillate oil does have a very long shelf life. So all of our quarantine products, we did lose some. We lost a small percentage, but those products were retested after the fact. And all of our products, both before the vape ban and after the vape ban, when it comes to our oils, those products did test passing. We don't release anything that the state does not allow us to.
Sounds good. Running down the list of questions that we got behind the scenes. Age ranges. Are there certain types of people that come to NETA? Is it mostly young? Is it mostly old? Is it who comes to NETA?
Actually, I found that out too, right before this too. I just checked our most recent statistics. And again, everyone kind of thinks about people as being very, very young and mostly male. And that's actually wrong on both counts. So for patients, we're talking about, it's almost pretty evenly distributed between men and women. And the average age of our patient is 41. So again, 50% more, 50% less. And, we've had some patients, and again, because we've been doing this, all three of us, for quite a while, we've had some patients who are in their 90s, and who have come back and back and back. And again, the youngest patients that can come to us, especially, in terms of pediatric issues, they're, as a doctor, there are kind of special requirements for that. But the bulk of our patients are in their 40s.
Mm. Actually, speaking of pediatric patients and caregivers, if someone has a elder parent or someone who's not able to come to the dispensary and they still want them to have cannabis as a choice, what are the options for them at NETA?
So patients are allowed to assign 2 caregivers to come on their behalf, and they can absolutely assign family members to do this for them. I think that that's the greatest benefit, because especially if they're elderly, they're homebound, or even just nervous to brace this big wide world with COVID, they're able to send 2 people out on their behalf. It is all tracked under the patient's registration. So everything that gets tracked with the state, it'll go onto their account. So it's pretty important for this patient to choose someone they trust. They don't want anyone, taking advantage of them or anything like that, especially where patients do get a 10-ounce allotment every rolling 60 days. So it's quite a large amount of cannabis. So they do have that option. We do have our delivery option, which is really great too. So again, if maybe they don't feel comfortable assigning anyone to go on their behalf, they can still have it delivered to them, which is really great as well.
Awesome.
And also, to be a caregiver is free. So, they get a card, and the person who is the patient does learn if a caregiver is purchasing on their behalf. So, but again, I have to say, with the option now of delivery, it's wonderful that there are caregivers, and we have many, many people who have been caregivers for patients. But again, now the option of the delivery, I think, will also be extremely helpful for those who are homebound or just feel that they can't come into the dispensary. But what we do is, as we've talked about, is at both of our dispensaries now, people need to reserve ahead because we are COVID concerned. In Brookline, people are given times when they then come to pick up their cannabis. In Northampton now, after they reserve ahead, they can come anytime during that day. But Murph had mentioned just how there are some really strict regulations, and we're really literal about following those regulations. So while someone is able to reserve ahead, someone has to basically pick up those products that day, or what they need to do is come back another day and order. But why this is so wonderful for us to be able to share is that because of the federal restrictions, we're not allowed to have radio advertisements. And so the more that we can let people know about the benefits, the better. And what we find is that our patients telling other patients and adult use customers telling other adult use customers, that's the best. And for adult use, anyone who is over the age of 21 is able to come to us. And that really has been extremely, extremely helpful to many.
We also have curbside pickup in Northampton too for medical, which is excellent. So another great feature. Unfortunately, we can't do that in Brookline just because Route 9, it's a little more tricky to manage there, but in Northampton, we also have that option for medical patients. So again, maybe they feel up to taking the drive, want to get some fresh air, but again, don't want to leave their car, no problem. They can select the curbside pickup option upon checkout in reserve ahead. So that way they're able to just stay in their car. We come to you. It's all very quick.
Awesome. So I'm, I guess, almost out of questions. I have one last sort of cheesy question, which is in the days when there are lots of dispensaries, I mean, I know NETA was one of the first and has been there the longest and has a lot of experience under its belt. What do you think helps NETA stand out from the other dispensaries? Some of it we've covered, but I wonder what your personal sort of thoughts are.
Ooh, what a heavy question. I like this one.
Well, I would say, I mean, each of us, I think, should answer. I feel like what's really unique about us is while we have a diversity of products and, quite a number of things that are available, we really do deal with people as individuals. And so we care, as Murph was saying, someone can come back 14 times and we want to be certain that they really are getting what they need. So I think we have incredible, incredible staff, and we really do want to be on and continue to be on the cutting edge. We were the first adult use place to open east of the Mississippi. So we are going to be the trailblazers, and we're also going to be focused on our customers and patients. That's what I'd say.
And I would even kind of continue on from Leslie. I think that just the genuine caring nature of our employees is really what will continue to steer the ship, both internally with each other, seeing the support for each other that they have, but also externally, facing those patients, really interacting with them on a one-on-one basis, and also how active they are in the community. It's not that NETA just has these programs to toot their own horn. It's because our employees are really involved and they really ask for these programs. So whether it's volunteering with a mental health institute or, going out to clean trash, these employees want to make a difference both in the patients' lives and the community's lives. And again, some of the examples that we gave were just to start, and we'll continue to keep these programs growing.
I think the word that comes to mind for me is consistency. And whether it is your purchasing experience as a patient, as a consumer, whether it's your experience on the website, we want to make sure that you get expeditious service and a consistent clear product every single time. Whether you're buying a 20% Ghost Train Haze pre-roll, a 20% Ghost Train Haze bud, or anything kind of in between, you are getting the same experience each and every time. So consistency and being on the cutting edge.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, thank you guys for joining tonight, and hopefully people got some information about NETA. I hope we can meet again and share more, because I'm sure there'll be lots of questions to follow. But
and we want to thank you too. It really
Yeah.
is wonderful to be
Yeah.
able to do something with you. So really, thanks.
My pleasure. Sure. No, my hope is this is the start of a big thing. I want to invite everybody that can have a voice. I think we do things to teach, and this is a very important part of the education.
Absolutely.
All right. Have a good night. Thank you all.
Thanks,
And
everyone.
remember to vote.
Remember, agreed.
Thanks, Doc.
Good night.